and welcome back to my crafting channel.
This is the place where we paint, sew and do all things DIY.
So hit that subscribe button and let's get crafting.
Today I am going to show you how to sew a very beginner-friendly skirt. This model requires absolutely no commercial pattern and has no buttons or zippers. Instead, it features a comfortable elastic waistband. This project is an excellent foundation for skirt making and can be varied endlessly, long, short, wide or with ruffles. Here you can see two different skirts that I have sewn using the exact same concept, but they look very differently. One is long and wide, made from a beautiful blue creped fabric with gold embroidery. This blue fabric has no stretch. The other skirt ends just below the knee and has a straight, narrower fit. It is sewn in a stretchy jersey fabric with a leopard print. I will mainly be showing you how I sew the blue skirt, but both skirts are made in almost the exact same way. You can, of course, choose your own fabric and decide exactly how you want your skirt to look. Now, let's get started. Start by measuring your waist where you want the skirt to sit. Next, measure around the widest part of your lower body, usually around your hips. If you are sewing your skirt in a stretchy fabric, it is enough if the fabric is just a few centimeters wider than your hip measurement. However, if you are using a non-stretch fabric, your total fabric width needs to be at least 7 to 8 centimeters or about 3 inches wider than your hips so you can move and sit comfortably. But you can choose to make it much wider if you want more volume. Keep in mind that a wider fabric gives you more gathers at the waist, while less width gives fewer gathers. Finally, decide on your desired skirt length. For my blue skirt, I wanted a very wide look. So I choose a total width that is my hip measurement multiplied by 2. To make the skirt this wide, one width of the fabric wasn't enough, so I had to cut 2 identical pieces. If your fabric is wide enough for your desired look, you only need to cut 1 piece. If you are sewing with a non-stretch fabric, the edges need to be zigzagged so the fabric doesn't fray. So for my blue skirt, I am zigzagging the top and the side edges of both pieces. If you are sewing in a stretchy fabric like jersey instead, you can skip this step because you will be using a stretch stitch later. Now, place the fabric right sides together and pin the edges. If you only have one piece of fabric, you will just have one back seam to pin. If you have 2 pieces, you will have 2 side seams to pin instead. If your fabric is non-stretch, sew with a straight stitch and make sure to secure your thread with a back stitch. If you are sewing in a stretchy fabric, use a stretch stitch on your sewing machine along with a stretch needle and remember to backstitch there as well. If you feel unsure about how to sew in jersey or other stretchy fabrics, please check out my previous video called Sewing ABC, How to Sew in Jersey Fabric. I have linked that video so you can easily find it at the end of this one. Don't forget to press your seams after sewing them. It's time to prepare the elastic. For a really great result, I highly recommend using an elastic waistband that is 3 to 4 centimeters wide. My elastic is 4 centimeters wide, about 1.5 inches. When cutting your elastic, it should be about 5 to 10% shorter than your waist measurement, so it holds the skirt up securely. For example, if your waist is 100 centimeter, your elastic should be around 90 to 95 centimeter. Or if your waist is 40 inches, your elastic should be about 36 to 38 inches. Overlay the short ends by a few centimeters and secure them tightly with a zigzag stitch, sewing a secure square around the overlap. Now that the elastic loop is securely sewn and the fabric has been stitched into a tube, You can do a quick test. Put the fabric tube on and place the elastic loop on the outside of your waist. This lets you see exactly how the finished skirt will fit and how gathered it will look. If you feel it's too wide, you can easily take it in at the side seams or the back seam right now. Doing this later will be much harder. Next, slip your fabric tube onto your ironing board with the right side facing down so we can prepare the waistband casing. Since my elastic is 4 centimeters wide and I want a 1.5 centimeters seam allowance, I am pressing the top edge down by 5.5 centimeter towards the wrong side of the fabric. This gives the elastic plenty of room to slide freely. With the edge pressed down, pull the elastic loop around the skirt, tucking it under the folded edge. Then pin the fold down securely, making sure not to pierce the elastic with your pins. If you are sewing with a non-stretch fabric, you should sew with a straight stitch close to the zigzag edge. If you are sewing in an elastic fabric like jersey, you should instead sew with a twin needle for stretch fabric from the right side. When you use a twin needle for stretch fabrics, it will create 2 parallel rows of straight stitches on the right side and a zigzag stitch on the back. This is why you didn't need to zigzag the top edge earlier. With a twin needle, you both sew the seam and finish the edge at the same time. Whether your fabric is stretchy and you use a twin needle, or if your fabric is non-stretch and you use a regular straight stitch, make sure to only sew the casing outside of the elastic. We want to sew only through the fabric, leaving the elastic free inside so you can adjust the gathers when wearing it. Because the fabric of my wide blue skirt is about twice as wide as the elastic, there will be a lot of wrinkles and gathers pinned at the waist. As you sew, you need to gently push and slide these gathers back away from the needle so the fabric lies completely flat and smooth right under your presser foot. As you move along, you can pull the already sewn fabric backward to make room, ensuring you never sew over any unwanted pleats or puckers. Once finished, you simply stretch the waistband to distribute all the gathers evenly. When I sew my jersey skirt, I don't need to worry about shifting the fabric like this at all, since the skirt has a much straighter fit and very few gathers. Once the waistband is done, it is time to hem the skirt. If your fabric is non-stretchy, you should do what I'm doing here. First, press the bottom edge up by 2 centimeters and then another 2 centimeters so the raw edge is completely hidden inside. Then, finish the hem with a simple straight stitch and don't forget to backstitch. If you are sewing in a stretchy fabric like jersey instead, you only press your hem up once, then you sew it using a twin needle. The skirt is now complete, so let's take a look at the final result.
That was all for today, but I really hope you liked this video, and if you did, please consider to like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to click that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming content on my channel. But for now, bye! Have fun sewing!